Dear Corporate America, I full on know making this video while I'm still applying for jobs is probably a career-limiting move, but nobody called when I was quiet either, so let's not pretend that my mouth is the problem. A year after I was laid off in January of 2024, I wrote you a letter and you never responded. I don't know why I expected people who ghost people for a living to write back, but alas, here we are. It's now been over 2.5 years since my layoff, and I have some follow-up concerns. But this letter isn't just for corporate America anymore. I've widened my job search, so I'm going to include everyone. So if you claim that you're hiring, this letter is for you too. So let me back up and rephrase and start again. Dear hiring managers of America, you may not remember me. My name is Sheila, and I spent a lifetime building a successful career in corporate America. For the last 2.5 years, I've been standing outside knocking while you pretend that nobody's home. I know what you're doing, and I'm pissed. At first, I thought this was only about keeping people like me out. Then I started paying attention to what the system does to the people who are still inside. Here's the fucked up spot that you've created for people like me. Jobs in my old field look at me and assume that I'm expensive, behind, slow, and too close to retirement to be worth hiring. Jobs outside my field look at the same experience and assume that I'm overqualified and will leave. So I'm simultaneously not qualified enough for the work that I spent 30 years doing and too qualified for the work that I'm applying to do because I can't get hired to do the work that I spent 30 years doing. Come on. We keep hearing to apply to positions outside our career. Great. Below our level. Super. What exactly am I supposed to do with my resume when I apply at Walmart? If I submit the real one, it still says tech, product strategy, and senior level work. That resume doesn't say she'll be grateful to have this job. It says she'll leave the minute something better comes along. All right, so now I need another resume that hides that evidence. Apparently, I can't simply say I need money and I'll do the job anymore. You told me to build a career, but now I need to try and hide it so Walmart will hire me and let me stock shampoo. Instead of saying I led product and platform execution end-to-end, establishing structure, clarifying priorities, and moving work from concept through delivery, I now say I assisted customers by answering questions, solving problems, and providing friendly, helpful service. There, I took product leadership and I turned it into nice lady helps people. We have to rewrite entire careers until no one can tell that we even had one. Now, since you've laid me off, I've driven for Uber and Lyft at 4 o'clock in the morning. I've sold my art on Etsy. I've built this YouTube channel and a business around it. My husband and I are also starting a plumbing company because apparently neither of us was tired enough. Oh, and I also sold feet pictures. At one point, I was answering comments on YouTube while strangers watched a live stream of my feet. So please don't look at my resume and question whether I'm willing to work. I can help somebody find toothpaste. And you know what? If somebody eventually offers me better work for more money, yeah, I might leave. That's how employment works. People leave when somebody offers them a better job. Companies lay off whole departments when somebody wants a better quarter. Please stop acting like we're the ones who invented disloyalty. Apparently, we're supposed to be desperate enough to accept the job, but not qualified enough to ever escape it. You eliminated my job, then made my experience the reason that I can't get another one. And you're doing it to people everywhere. You turn our careers into reasons not to hire us. Then you go on LinkedIn and complain that you can't find good candidates. Well, here we are, bozo. I'm standing right here with 2 resumes and you found a reason to reject both versions of me. This is why I made my workshop, Why You Feel Stuck and Why It's Not What You Think. It helps you figure out what exactly is keeping you stuck and how you can make room to move. It's linked in the description. Hiring managers, you can take it too. Some of you have been stuck in 2008 since 2008. Honestly, rejection even is the worst part anymore. It's everything that you make applicants do before you finally get around to it. Per my last letter, I called your job postings corporate fan fiction. I said 6 rounds of interviews wasn't hiring, it was hazing. I said moving jobs offshore wasn't strategy, you were just cheap. I also said that loyalty was the fastest way to get underpaid, undervalued, and overworked. Then I told you that I was choosing not to participate anymore. And I didn't. I took a break because there are only so many times that you can upload your resume and then type the whole thing in again before you start heavy sighing and eye rolling at a drop-down menu. And I'm not the only one who backed away. People didn't stop wanting to work. They got tired of proving they exist to a portal that responds by pretending that they don't. I tried to build my own thing. I built this channel. I worked on other things. I tried to make a life outside of the corporate terrarium where everybody is circling back for the synergistic low-hanging fruit. And for a minute, I thought that I had. But I'm still job hunting. Like a lot of people, I still need to make money. Groceries keep grocerying. Health insurance still wants its money every month. And I have absolutely no idea how I'm supposed to retire on YouTube revenue, especially when they keep changing the rules. So yes, I'm still applying everywhere. The system hasn't gotten better. I've reached the point where being done with traditional employment costs more than I can afford. Every application wants a resume customized to the job description. Then I upload that resume into the portal where it's scanned, parsed, and then handed back to me so I can type the whole thing in again into 117 small little boxes. The sheer time suck of customizing every resume and writing cover letters makes job hunting more work than when I was actually working. Job hunting requires so much labor that I think I'd like to list it as my current employer. Can I do that? So I use AI to make it faster. Half the jobs that I'm applying for expect me to know how to use it anyway. That's literally one of the skills that you're asking for. Then the application process suddenly finds religion or something. I have to swear that no AI touched my resume or helped answer the questions that your AI is about to grade. Let me make sure that I understand this correctly, okay? You can use AI to write the job description, screen us, rank us, interview us, monitor us after we're hired, and help decide when you don't need us anymore. But if we use it to rewrite one bullet point, suddenly integrity matters. You don't have a problem with AI. I think you're pissed that we have access to it too. You keep saying that you want to hear from the real me. Okay, well, the real me would write, I need health insurance, I know how to work, and I can start on Monday. Then if I survive the portal, there's the recruiter screen, the hiring manager, the panel, the culture interview, the personality assessment, and the final interview that turns out to be the first of 3 final interviews. Then comes the assignment. What the hell is this? This used to be an anomaly, and now I'm seeing it everywhere. You want me to study your customer problem, build a strategy, create a presentation, and hand over 3 usable ideas before you've even decided whether I deserve the privilege of being underpaid and overworked? You don't call it free consulting because free consulting sounds like theft. You call it a skills assessment and put instructions in a cheerful little PDF. That's not an interview. That's getting applicants to start the job before you've bothered to hire them. More and more applicants don't even get a person when we interview anymore. We get a link and a set of instructions for an AI interviewer. You're asking us to prove we're worth hiring while nobody at your company can spare 20 minutes to show up. I clearly don't object to AI. I just use it to survive your application process, but I don't want to be interviewed by it. If I have to show up, somebody from the company should show up too. It feels insane to put on a decent shirt, angle my lamp, and sit there performing warmth, confidence, authenticity, and culture fit for a green dot on your screen. So I want to be clear about what you're asking, okay? You want to measure my authenticity without providing any of your own. And that tells every applicant exactly how little of your own time you think we're worth. Now, I called the interview process hazing in the first letter, and I'd like to withdraw that because hazing ends and somebody usually gets into the fraternity. This just keeps on going until the position is quietly canceled or one of us dies. Now let's talk about the job posting, which is still a fictional story based loosely on the possibility of employment. I read that New York just passed a bill that would, in a nutshell, require you to say whether a posting is for a real current opening. The bill would also require that you remove jobs that have already been filled. It isn't a law yet, and I live in Colorado anyway, so none of this is going to help me today, but maybe New York will set a standard. You know, to be honest, I do find it pathetic that we now need a law requiring a job advertisement must contain an actual job. I don't know where civilization goes after that. Maybe next year we'll make restaurants disclose whether there's food in the kitchen? I read another article that said half of HR professionals say that they regularly post ghost jobs. Most of the rest said that they do it sometimes. Only 2% said that they never did it. 2%. God, shame on you. But here's the number that made me scream, "Oh, fuck you," out loud. Of the companies that admitted to posting fake jobs, 62% said that they did it to make current employees feel replaceable. So you posted a fake job to threaten people who have the real ones. You want your employees insecure and scared because they're easier to control that way. You're creating a toxic workplace on purpose. It's such a freaking game. You can hide the budget, rewrite the responsibilities halfway through the interview, cancel the role, or forget that it ever existed. Yet somehow I'm still the one being evaluated for honesty? Salary transparency hasn't exactly fixed the honesty problem either. Even when you tell us the salary, you found a way to not tell us the salary. I've noticed that you now post ranges so wide that the bottom number and the top number are like living in totally different tax brackets. The salary is somewhere between $1 and $250,000 depending on experience and whether the CEO recently bought a boat. And because AI hasn't made hiring weird enough, fake jobs have now collided with fake candidates. You're now dealing with made-up identities, deep fake interviews, fake references, and applicants who may or may not be the same person who shows up for work. Now, that's a real problem. I get that. But I'd like the order of operations explained to me. Why do we have to prove that we're real humans before the company proves it's offering a real job? I have 30 years of experience, references, a face, and a social security number. Your job posting has a logo and vibes, yet somehow I'm still the suspicious one? Now that we know some of the jobs aren't real, let's talk about the employee that you're supposedly looking for. I don't think that person exists either. People keep telling me that companies can't find qualified people, right? Oh, Sheila, there's plenty of jobs out there. I just keep hearing how companies can't find people. Yeah, every word of that sentence pisses me off. Meanwhile, qualified people are sitting at home changing the font on their resume for the 6th time because apparently Arial was the deal breaker. Almost everyone I know has been laid off, and almost everyone they know has been laid off. The comments on these videos are full of people who've been laid off or know that they're next. Basically, you've got a bunch of people knocking, but you're not answering the door. That takes effort. Really, that takes real effort to reject all of us and then keep calling this a talent shortage. I get it though. I see your game. When companies say qualified, they don't mean somebody who can learn the work and do it well. They mean somebody already trained in their exact systems, right? Available immediately, living within commuting distance, salary expectations left over from 2014, thrilled by 6 interviews and unlikely to need childcare, medical care, sleep, or have a functioning spine. Meanwhile, the people who already have jobs are afraid to leave them. It's a hirer's market now, and re-entering it feels like volunteering for a colonoscopy through Workday. What blows my mind is that you're proudly calling your hostage count retention. Wow, isn't that convenient? That fear is useful to you though, isn't it? An employee who's afraid to leave is less likely to push for a raise. She'll take on another vacant position, accept the office mandate, and smile through the next reorg because she knows the alternative begins with uploading her resume and typing it all again for reasons nobody has explained since 2008. And while the people that you kept are doing 3 jobs and afraid to leave, you're still looking for ways to get rid of them. You are still heavily outsourcing work as well as responsibility, and you're calling it innovation. I spent 30 years in tech. I've watched companies buy expensive platforms because an executive saw a beautiful demonstration and forgot that real businesses contain customers, bad data, broken processes, band-aided legacy systems, and people who still fax things. So I have some questions about this AI revolution that you're using to eliminate jobs. Who's managing it? Who's teaching it how your business actually works? Who's deciding what information it can trust, checking on what it produces, and catching the answers that sound completely confident but are absolutely wrong? Who takes over after the chatbot has apologized 6 times, solved nothing, and asked whether there's anything else it can do to help you as it sends you a satisfaction survey? AI only knows the business that you feed it. It doesn't know the business that your employees have been quietly holding together with their judgment, workarounds, and personal favors for years. The people that you're laying off know these things. You're eliminating institutional knowledge and assuming what? That AI can just do the thing? You can't replace 30 years of Linda knows after you've riffed Linda. And who takes responsibility when AI gets something wrong? The machine can produce an answer. It can't sit in a meeting and explain why that answer cost the company a customer, broke a policy, exposed private information, or gave an angry customer the same useless answer in 4 different ways. It can't be held accountable. That still requires a person, probably several of the people that you've just eliminated. That's what I think that you're getting wrong. You're treating AI like a replacement workforce when it's a tool that still needs people who understand the work. You're cutting first and planning later because all you see are the dollar signs of a layoff. You're like a child that has no idea about consequences, and it's starting to show. I'm not anti-AI. I use it. I think it's useful. A chainsaw is useful too, but I wouldn't use it to cut my bangs. Here's my prediction. And of course, I could be wrong, but I think a lot of companies are going to spend the next few years discovering that AI can't manage itself, train itself on information you never documented, recognize every exception, calm down an angry customer, or take responsibility when something goes sideways. AI isn't magic. You can't lay off Linda and then ask ChatGPT what Linda knew. I think you're going to realize that eliminating the people who understood the business before you understood the technology is how you end up paying consultants to rebuild everything the people you laid off already knew. Basically, you're going to be paying strangers to reconstruct Linda. Then you're going to start hiring again. You may even discover people like me weren't obsolete. We were the people who knew enough to tell the machine when it was full of shit. Maybe that shifts the leverage back towards employees. Maybe people will have choices again. Maybe you'll have to give people a reason to work for you besides fear and health insurance. I don't know yet. None of us do. But here's what I do know. AI didn't invent ageism, fake jobs, the idea that being unemployed makes you unemployable, surveillance during work hours, layoffs, ghosting, or executives who don't have the guts to own their own decisions. It just gives you a machine to hide behind so nobody has to say, yeah, that was me. That was my decision. AI didn't create the values behind those decisions. You did. You taught the machine the family business. And you keep calling this innovation. I keep not getting hired. And when I counted the days, well, holy crap. Here's what happens when you've been out of work for a long time. At first, the gap is just time, right? It's a number of months. Then somewhere in there, the gap stops being time and starts being a fact about who you are. As of this recording, I have been out of a traditional job for 31 months. That's 947 days. You lay people off and then use the time that they spent job hunting as a reason not to hire them. You create the gap and then treat the gap like a character reference. How tidy. But nobody calls that discrimination. You decide the gap is our fault and pretend our age has nothing to do with it. Do I want to come back? No. No, hell no, I don't. Am I still applying? Yes, I am. I didn't forget what employment cost me. I remember it perfectly. Those answers can live in the same body. That doesn't mean that I approve of the system. It means that I can hate the game and still need a paycheck. Bajillions of people are making the same calculation. That's the real story of this labor market. You have leverage and you're loving it. To you, the system is perfect. Applicants can't get in, employees can't get out. That leverage lets you demand more time, more proof, more unpaid work, more availability, and more humiliation, while you offer less of everything, including money. You know people have fewer places to go, and this is how you behave when you know it. I'm not the only one standing out here. I'm just the one writing you this letter. So here's my follow-up, and then I'll let you get back to your quarterly planning. Last time I told you that it's not me, it's you. You've had 947 days to prove me wrong. You haven't. Sincerely, the overqualified badass who's still here, still applying, and still pissed off. Okay, you guys, your turn. What's the most ridiculous thing a company made you do for a job you didn't even get? I already know these comments are going to piss me off, but I want to hear them anyway. If you've spent this video saying, oh shit, she's talking about me, I do offer one-on-ones, and there's a membership community full of people who are in the exact same spot and who are really hilarious about it. Everything's linked in the description. Every week I show up and talk about the midlife stuff that nobody warned us about. Work, money, mental health, starting over. If that sounds like your kind of place, hit subscribe. I'd love to have you here. If you missed my first letter to corporate America, watch that one next. It explains why I was already on their not a culture fit list before this follow-up even arrived.